I don't care what MTV allows. My audience gets the song of the summer if they want it. This is Coldchella, goddammit, and it is time to dance. Jimmy!
Fuck this. There is no justice, and it's a shame because the land of opportunity is above this. Fuck this. There is no justice, and it's a shame because the land of opportunity is above this. So-called sellout scam. Our very beginning of America is racist. We all vote for the lesser of two. We need nothing ever. Good morning, good morning, good morning. You're tuned into the Urban Conservative. I'm Chaz Neal, revolutionary journalist based in Minnesota. And we're brought to you today by the Leon Block Network. We are all about transparency, truth, and accountability. The Urban Conservative is about the news on the streets, gun violence, crime, politics, and how we solve our community's most hardest issues. How can we change our communities for the better? Let's get back to family, community, foundational roots. Let's make sure nobody gets left behind. Shut up and help. Good afternoon, whatever you want to call it, man. My name is Chaz, again, aka the Urban Conservative, and I'm based out of Minnesota. And today I'm going to talk about a few things. One is, Mohammed Bakat, the shooting in Fargo, North Dakota, that left one officer dead, two others that were injured as well as shot. Trying to see today in Black History. What do we want to do? Black History today. Black History. Why can't I find one? Let's see. Black History 365. Nope, not one. Well, whatever. We ain't gonna do Black History today. Well, we're gonna get into the first story, and we're gonna talk about Fargo, North Dakota. If people don't know what happened there, just to give a little background to that story, because I really don't know. So this is honestly new for me too. So let's get into this.
Motive, obvious motive to kill. I mean, driven by hate, driven by wanting to kill. The horrible winds of fate. It's the best explanation I have for you for how he saw those officers on the way to where we believe he was going.
Attorney General Drew Wrigley describing the suspect in last week's deadly shooting and how close we came to a much bigger tragedy in Fargo. Good evening, and thank you for joining us on Valley News Live at 5. I'm Justin Betty.
And I'm Stacey Van Dyke. During a nearly 2-hour press conference today, Drew Wrigley laid out a detailed moment-by-moment, play-by-play of what happened leading up to and during that deadly shooting in Fargo 1 week ago today, and how close we came to a much bigger disaster in Fargo.
Wrigley said 37-year-old Mohammed Barakat's main target was likely the downtown street fair. We'll have more on that in a couple moments. But first, a quick timeline of how this all unfolded. 2:42, there was a small fender bender on 25th Street South in Fargo, something you would never notice. Around 2:48, fire department shows up. A minute later, the first officers, Andrew Dotis and Tyler Hawes, both arrive. Around that same time, Amerikkka, who is driving up 25th, likely they believe on his way to the street fair, drives by, and over the next few minutes, he circles around before finally settling in a parking lot. 3 o'clock, the police backup for this crash, this non-incident, arrives. Officers Zach Robinson and Jake Willeen. At 3:03, one of the cars involved in the fender bender pulls off the road and into a parking lot right next to Amerikkka's car. Just needed somewhere they can look at the damage. And 3 officers start walking over with them without any reason to think they were in danger. And that is when Amerikkka, they say, opened fire from inside his car.
And as verified by listening to the audio, it is, he believed it to be, and reasonably so, automatic fire. It is rapid, rat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat, all made possible because of what is known as a binary trigger.
Officer Robinson at this time still on the road, helping with traffic as fire crews were preparing to leave. Over the next 2 minutes, he then exchanges gunfire with the gunman, horribly outgunned.
Yeah, Amerikkka then jumps out of his car. He hides behind the passenger side of his car, where he continues firing with this practically automatic weapon. Hearing the gunfire, the girl involved in the fender bender, Kaylee Coswick, runs for cover, trying to find a tree. Amerikkka turns to shoot her and does, but that turn gives Robinson a slightly better angle.
He's standing up. He sees what's happened. He knows he's got officers down. He knows he's got the civilian down. Knows he's got other civilians just off the side, and he tells himself, just squeeze. Careful, careful, squeeze. And he does. He hits the long rifle and incapacitates it.
Such presence. He also hits Amerikkka with that gunfire, but Amerikkka, while down, grabs another gun, one of many he had. Officer Robinson moves in, yelling 16 times for Amerikkka to drop his weapon, but he does not. He then shoots and cuffs Amerikkka at 3:06, about 20 minutes after the initial fender bender.
Today's press conference revealed not only the entire timeline of how everything transpired, but we also learned a little bit more about what the gunman had in his possession.
Valley News team Zoe Jones joins us now live in studio, continuing our team coverage with a look at his arsenal. Zoe.
That's right, Justin and Stacy. Today, for the first time, we finally got to put the face to the man behind July 14th's vicious attack. This is 37-year-old Mohammed Amerikkka. In the press conference on Wednesday, this photo was released showing what they found inside of his car: multiple guns, vests, knives, and 1,800 live rounds of ammunition. At today's press conference, new details were announced and new photos about what else they found, including 3 containers filled with gas and 2 propane tanks filled with homemade explosives, as well as a homemade grenade. Now, based off of Amerikkka's search history, Attorney General Drew Wrigley said that they have reason to believe he was on his way to the downtown street fair that afternoon. Fargo Police Chief David Zabolski said that it was clear that Amerikkka had malicious motives for that day.
Knowing a little more about this now and listening to the Attorney General, it was clear that this individual was a calculated, insidious, murderous individual, dead set on hurting, killing as many people as possible.
Later tonight on Valley News Live at 6, we will share details behind why Attorney General Drew Wrigley believes he was on his way to the downtown street fair and what they believe was planned to take place. Justin, Stacy.
All right. Thank you, Zoe. Zoe showing us there what was in the gunman's vehicle. A bomb-sniffing dog alerted to that vehicle, also to the apartment.
Amerikkka's apartment, about a mile south of the shooting scene, was searched deep into the night last Friday, the same day as the shooting. Residents in the whole area were evacuated. There's still a lot, though, we don't know about the suspect. Attorney General Wrigley saying anyone who may have information about Mohammed Amerikkka is encouraged to contact the North Dakota Bureau of Criminal Investigation. Their number on your screen is 701-328-5500.
Wow. So as you can see that this dude playing Muhammad Barkat, playing a vicious and malicious attack in Fargo, North Dakota. You know, he ambushed, he seen a car accident happen. You know, but I think the most crazy part for me though is why. I think first of all, the Fargo police stopped something very serious from happening, bigger than just an officer being killed and 2 more being shot, and even just an innocent bystander being shot. So I think, you know, people want to look at it as, you know, law enforcement, they know what they get into that job for. You know what I'm saying? It's just like when they in the Army, or when they're, you know, correctional officers. They know when they go to work every day is that they hope that they go home at the end of that shift. But it doesn't mean that the plan is for them to go home at the end of that shift. It doesn't always pan out that way, but they also know what they get into it for. And it's sad to see that an officer who in the line of duty, you know, people are going to be like, "Oh, I can't believe he's saying it's still fuck 12." Don't get it twisted. It's still fuck 12. Please don't get that twisted. But there comes a time where, because I don't see nobody else out there preventing crime. I don't see anybody else out preventing things from happening, mass attacks, even the gun violence. And that's why today I definitely want to talk about gun violence, man, because gun violence is in a violent uptick, and not only just Minnesota, but really all over the world. And right here, what you're seeing on the screen is the National Gun Archive website, and make sure y'all can see. So what you're looking at is the National Gun Archive, and put that in there, the link. So these are the mass shootings that happened over the weekend. As you can see, it's ugly as hell. Let's get to the list. So you see, we'll go back to Friday because today's the 24th. So the 23rd was yesterday, Saturday, Friday. So you had one in Louisiana. The city was Marrero on the 6700 block of Mather. 1 killed, 3 victims injured. So that's one. That was Friday. Then you got Saturday. Chicago, Illinois. 1 victim killed, 4 victims injured. Then again on Saturday, you got Glendale, Arizona on the 6700 block of North Sunset Boulevard. 0 victims killed, 4 injured. 1 was in the lasso, and on this one, somebody was arrested. No other suspects were arrested in the previous 2. So then we got Wade, North Carolina, which is still on Saturday on the 4800 block of Pembroke Lane. We had 1 victim killed, 3 victims injured. Then we got Memphis, Tennessee. That is still Saturday on the 2900 block of Meadows Lane. You had 1 victim die, 4 injured. Houston, Texas, still Saturday. And on Rosehaven Drive, you had 1 victim killed, 2 injured, victims injured, and then you had 2 suspects injured. So that means the police shot them, or either somebody shot them. They were injured somehow. And then we go into Sunday, yesterday, which was in Seattle, Washington, Broadway and Pike Street, 0 killed, 4 victims injured. Then we go back to Texas. So Texas literally had 2 in a row where they had 10 people shot. That's crazy. So on the 9200 block of Gulf Parkway, you had 0 victims killed, 5 shot. And I want people to see nobody arrested. I see that suspects were injured, subjects. So maybe they think they're suspects, or maybe those are people that were in the crowd firing back. I don't know, but so then we go Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, 1700 block of 3rd Avenue West, 0 killed, 4 injured. Tampa, Florida. This is all yesterday. This is 7402 North 56th Street, 5 injured. Only 1 arrest out of all of these. So out of all 11 of these mass shootings over the weekend, only 1 person arrested. But then we go to Dallas, Texas, the 3300 block of Sheila Lane, 1 killed, 3 injured. And that's 11 mass shootings as we started with, in Louisiana. So we have 4, 9, 13, 17, 22, 27, 31, 36, 40, 48 people shot and injured. And then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dead. That's sick. That's sick. And yet we're not talking anything about gun violence. When are we going to talk about gun violence? When are we going to talk about ending gun violence? Because there's no legislation that's going to do that. There's no legislation that's going to change gun violence. We just seen it with, one of the shootings that happened in the last week was a rapper, Gillie Dakid, son, YNG Cheese, I think it is. I don't know, some rapper. I never heard any of his music. I'm not going to sit there in front like I've heard any of his music, because I haven't. But that a rapper dead and gone, and another family that is out here saying a name. We still got families that are saying names from gun violence from 2, 3 years ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, that don't have no kind of accountability, don't have any kind of justice, don't even have any of the story. That's just like what we could talk about, Minneapolis with Vanessa Jensen, how the Jensen family doesn't have much of what happened to their loved one. And it hurts me to see families like that don't have any information, don't know any of the story of what went on. They just know a narrative. They don't know any of the facts and how their loved one died. And to me, that's sick, because how can we go on as people when we literally just had a weekend of 11 mass shootings, 48 injured, and 5 killed? And 3, and what's crazy is in that span of that weekend, there was 3 of them in Texas. You had 2 in Houston, 1 in Dallas. And in Houston, they were back-to-back, Saturday and Sunday. So, honestly, and they probably weren't even 24 hours apart. So it's like, for me, how do we as people solve gun violence? How do we solve it? Huh? Let's go to charts and maps, because let's even look at the last 72 hours. So just today, you got Burlington, Iowa. At least one, they were arrested in Iowa. See, at least they get arrested in the small towns. But look at Chicago, man. This is ridiculous. 3 in a row. Boom, boom, boom. All today, because today's the 24th, and it's only 11:22, 32 in the morning. Yeah, 11:32 in the morning. And look at this, Chicago, boom, boom. Cleveland, Ohio, 1 killed. Damn. Tallahassee, Florida, 2 killed. The subject was released, so that's, damn. Jonesboro, Arkansas, Arizona City. See, look at that. And these are just what all, so you go within the Cleveland, Ohio. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm sure there's way more shootings than that have happened so far today. But it's crazy. Like, when are we, how does gun legislation change that? Because Minnesota, yeah, I seen that one last night. That shit crazy. Grand Rapids, Patrick Leola, Kalamazoo, Michigan, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Chicago, Rochester, New York, Chester, South Carolina. Come on. And this was what's sick to me, Minneapolis, Memphis, Rocky Mountain, North Carolina, LA, you know they always in there. North Carolina, LA, North Carolina. Damn, Charlotte be like that. Damn. Detroit, Tampa, Minneapolis. Damn, Minneapolis. Can we not be on here so much? Pennsylvania, Alabama, Virginia, Texas, South Carolina, Georgia, Atlanta, Millville. I don't even know where that's at, but it happened on the 100 block of Martin Luther King Boulevard. Sacramento, Indianapolis, Texas, Florida, San Diego, Kentucky, Texas again. So how does gun legislation change these type of numbers? Damn, that was that mass shooting. I was about to say, didn't we just see that? Yeah, that's a mass shooting. San Antonio, California, DC, Lodi, California, Rochester, New York, Brooklyn, New York, Queens, Indianapolis, damn, 3 in a row. Chicago, Seattle, Stockton, Pensacola, LA, Culver City, Fort Wayne, Chicago. That shit is crazy as hell, saying these same cities and names over and over again. You know, I know Minneapolis, the homicides are down. And I know that, you know, certain politicians are promoting, oh, hey, gun violence is down. No, the fuck it's not, man. Just because the numbers might be, the murders might be, doesn't mean that the effects of shots fired or the perpetuating violence that happens from gun violence in our communities, that the after effects, the trauma, the dealing with the injuries, dealing with property loss, property damage, just you lose so much over in an instant. You know, it's the same thing of when, you know, our cars get broken into, or we get into a car accident and we don't have that. You know, we don't, what are we supposed to do? You know, because we have that insurance, you know, we have that Geico, you know, that State Farm. But what else do we have? To be honest, you know, unless we have that money, you know what I'm saying? So why we have insurance? It's for protection. Why don't we have any protections from gun violence? Because this shit ain't helping. It's not helping at all. And we're out here getting mad at police for doing their job, and we want to call it police brutality. Fuck out of here. That makes no sense. How are we going to get mad at the police for doing their jobs? How are we going to get mad at the popos for doing their jobs? Right? Because I don't see that same energy to fight this. This ain't the police. Right here, what you're seeing right now is in the last 72 hours. And it's pages long. Look at that, 9. Let's see how far it goes. Look at that, 9 pages, all of that. We was just looking at mass shootings, but look at all this shit. And y'all want to sit there and talk about legislation? How does legislation change that? Literally 13 pages in the last 72 hours. So that was basically the weekend. Basically the weekend. Because that's Friday. Vegas, Atlanta, Albuquerque, Atlanta, LA, Grenada, Florida, California. That shit is sad as hell to see these same cities over in states, these same Chicago, Philly, you know, and I see, if you're not watching or looking at Jamal Johnson's Facebook, his if you're not following what he's doing out there, please do, because he's really spotlighting the violence right now in Philly, and I don't think it's paid enough attention to, because it's really getting out of hand, not only just in bigger cities, because the shit is winding down to smaller communities. And I don't think people fully understand that, because they don't get it every day. It might be far and few between. It might be every couple of weeks. It might be every other month, you know, that they get a shooting, or, you know, but damn, why does it even gotta happen that often? I mean, shit, it's over, I think we're at like 2,000 days straight over North Minneapolis of gunfire. Like, damn, why we got to continually go through that, and yet nothing is ever done. There's money thrown at a situation that never hits the streets. And just have more violence upon violence. Kentucky. Now, this shit just is sad to see. Wilshire Boulevard, and then I think that's a nice area. Virginia, Ohio, Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Boston. This is just sad to see, man. And how many of these were kids is what people, let's have that conversation. Let's see how many of these are kids. Teens, children killed or injured in 2023. Look at this shit. Mass shooting. That's sick. We are just killing kids. All these babies being injured and killed for what? Because let's see how many have. So 2023 numbers published today, July 24th, 2023. Total number of gun violence deaths, all causes, 24,259. Homicide, murder, unintentional, 10,729. Suicide, 13,000. So we having way more suicides still than we're having really homicides and murder. But really, honestly, they're both bad. Killed 161 kids so far under the age of 11 have been killed. 400 have been injured. Teens, that's a wow. That's crazy. That should really show people something right here, that the number of teens, so that goes 12 to 17, you have 856 teens killed, 2,345 injured that have been shot. That's way too much. That's way too much. And look at look at the numbers. At least we're not that bad. 2022 was a bad year. 5,157 teens killed, injured. Look at that. Damn, that's crazy. And we say we're doing something about it, How? Defensive use. But look at the children. And look at that jump from 2019 to the COVID years, and just look at how the numbers have jumped. And y'all can't tell me that the numbers haven't jumped. Can't tell me that they haven't jumped. Defensive gun uses honestly went down. Murder suicide's gone down. Except from last year. But the teens, that's the part that trips me out, because you look at, 16, 17, and 19 were all bad years, but then damn, how we jump up from 2019 to 2020, when 2020 we were locked down a lot of 2020, and then what, even school. So that just shows you right there. Look at this. We've got to do something. When look at these numbers, man. And y'all want to tell me we're out here doing something? Our babies are being killed. Our futures are literally being killed, and we're not doing anything about it. We're going to take a small break real quick so I can grab a drink. Yeah, so just hold on. Hold on to your love. You got to hold on. I want to play some old for you, some new. We'll play this. And we are back. We are back. We are back. We are back. So, as y'all have seen it, man, I don't know how much more, to be honest, that we could literally talk about gun violence. You know what I'm saying? And not out here trying to make a difference, because y'all seen the numbers. We just seen the numbers, and how many, especially since COVID, the pandemic, the death and the injuries done to under the age of 17, especially our teens, have skyrocketed. And it hasn't, to me, it hasn't gone unnoticed. And for me, I think it is, we need to take a deeper look at that and figure out what is the core issues that we're dealing, and we're reeling from that, because it is, we're having, we're seeing with not only just with the guns, but with high-speed chases, with carjackings. We're seeing it with crime period with teens are up, and we're not solving it. We're not trying to figure it out. We're not trying to curb it. We're just throwing money at an issue that isn't even throwing a dent into it in certain areas. And how do we combat that? How do we combat that? You know, that's one thing I want people to really think about is how do we combat that? How do we combat that? So we're going to do some social media, maybe not this one. You know what? Yeah, we are. Let's do this. So we're going to do some, submit code. You didn't send me no code. Yeah, that was me. Here we go. So, dudes, what is going on? So let's go. So let's see what's happening in social media. So we're on Facebook. Mr. Zuckerberg. So let's share this. See what's going on with the Facebook. So here goes Eric Justice. If you guys don't know Eric Holmes' story, please know it, learn the name, learn the story. Because do you remember the first time someone ever did something to your child or said something you felt offensive to? Mama and daddy on go, right? Only equaling because that's your baby. Very understood. Well, that's what I'm on. I'm on go. Someone hurt my child and he's still out there. Would have never been on go had he never let his bullets go. Why did you shoot? Justice for Eric Holmes. So please follow Eric. Justice for Eric. Eric's Justice. Please follow. One of my favorites that I sit there and I follow. Let's see what else is on here. Some about dogs. If you don't know who Trinity Smith is, this is her father, Ray Sean, who company Bandit Studios. Expand your browser. Oh, can't play that. I don't know what that means. There that is. This is a story out of
This man. Here it is.
Move your arm. You son of a bitch. I'll tell you, black ass.
What'd you say? Black ass? Beautiful.
We're gonna get the police here, pal.
Yeah, and hey, guess what? I've been recording the last 10 minutes. I heard you say move your ass, black ass.
Yeah.
Great.
What are you?
Yeah.
An ass?
Yeah,
And you're black.
black ass, yeah.
No, you're
And
you're black.
And your address and your whole address.
I'm really afraid. What, are you gonna boycott me? What, are you gonna march?
No.
And destroy buildings like you guys do?
Like we do? Like who?
Like
black people?
Black Lives Matter does.
Like Black Lives Matter.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
Took $90 million from the government.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good. Hey, what's up, Paul Thulin? How you
Get out of my
doing?
car.
How you doing?
Get out of my car.
Oh, how you doing? I'm Paul Thulin.
Yep, Paul
and the
Thulin.
son of a bitch is parked in our clinic parking spot. It says no parking,
Yep.
and he can't read.
They've been closed for 2 hours.
Yeah. No, I have not been closed. There's
If you go to Google, Google review, they close at their closed hours have been at least an hour.
No,
Yep.
no, it hasn't. Do you see what that
Yep.
sign says?
Yeah, I know what the sign says.
The sign says it's open.
I know what it says on the internet.
Open.
All right. Yep, I got more information. And thank you so much, Mr. Paul Thulin, for self-reporting your identity, which gives me free permission here to repeat it. And to do this, let's put up the picture of the self-admitted racist. Once again, his name is Paul Thulin. Let me give you a little background. This happened in Bloomington, Minnesota. A father was waiting for his kids. This was last week. The father, his name is Taryn Buford, commented on his Facebook post and said, and I quote, this past Friday, I pulled up to my kids' reading and math class to drop them off for their evening session. Before parking, I checked Google to see what time the business next door closed, and it said 5 p.m. Being that it was 6 p.m., I parked in the spot designated for that business because I didn't want the kids to have to cross a busy parking lot. Anyway, the owner walks out and yells at me to move my car, my effing car, before calling me a black ass and saying we, black people, were going to try to burn down his business because that's what we do. In the extra footage, he also tells me to get back in your cage after he'd called the police over a parking dispute, and they failed to show up after 45 minutes because they had better things to do. Let me say this to Mr. Thulin. No, sir, we are not engaged in any criminality. Black people are not trying to destroy your physical property. That is not the sentiment of the movement of Black Lives Matter. As a matter of fact, sir, I am going to give out all of your information and encourage people to frequent your establishment. Let's put it up. According to Google, this is Budget Hearing Centers. Hours of operation. They close at 5 p.m. weekdays. Phone number, Bloomington, Minnesota, 952-225-1604. Once again, the phone number. If you would like to frequent this establishment and provide an opportunity to this business owner, you can go to 10,800 Normandale Boulevard, Bloomington, Minnesota, Suite 103M. All right? Okay. I hope that helps you out, sir. Trying to give your business some advertisement here, make things fair for you and the establishment that you run. Mr. Wiggins, thoughts here?
It just came down this week. Air Force Staff Sergeant Stephen Carrillo, 32, was charged with killing Federal Service Officer David Paddock during a Black Lives Matter protest, I believe in the state of Minnesota.
Yep.
So when they say that's what we do, that we is carrying a lot of water. I don't know who he's talking about. This was a boogaloo boy I'm talking about. So I'm glad the individual doxed himself and told everybody where he was and who he is, because that made it so much easier for you. Typically with situations like this, we have to say, hey, Twitter, do your thing. But he did it for us. So I'm sure the people will let him know what he means to the community.
We definitely will know. So y'all want to help? Let's shut this man down. That's crazy as hell that, somebody is out there waiting for their children. And damn, that's to me, that's wow. That's crazy wow. That just really, that's crazy. Crazy. I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. Let's see what else is going on. What can I find real quick? Oh. Let's see. Let's go on Twitter. Let's go to Twitter real quick. X. The bird's gone, man. Twitter got rid of the bird. Now it's the X. X marks the spot. Get verified. I'm definitely not paying for this goofy shit. Let's see what's going on. So Oh, let's talk about this a little bit, and then we're gonna end off on this note because I wanna talk about the Confederate flag, and I want to talk about this isn't so much per se because it trips me out how people can take something and I get it. People get freaked out over the Confederate flag. So there was an event yesterday that happened with, I think it was Turning Point or something, I don't know, but it was a restaurant called Rollies, and they have a Confederate flag up. Honestly, which used to bug me too, doesn't bug me anymore when you know the history behind it. And I get it. People have that Southern, they feel like it's Southern pride. I'm not from the South, so I don't have any Southern pride, so I don't know anything about it. But I understand it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna sit there and get triggered by it, something that, because people get offended by the black fist, so I'm not gonna get offended. But yeah, so here it is, man. I guess there's some Confederate flag. I thought this was on a pole. It's in this garage, so I don't really think you have a case here. You can always close the garage. Right. Boom. So I guess that's Rollies. I think that's, I don't know. I've never been in the place, but this is, I guess, was the event yesterday that they had, and there was. So people are making a stink over a Confederate flag while we have babies out being shot. Yeah. You know, and I don't have a problem. I think people are taking the, shit out of context than anything. So I really, yeah, we just taking this shit's starting to get way out of hand. Way out of hand. I don't even know what to say anymore. Because we can't even talk about, the past. We can't talk about 1946. We can't talk about, sundown towns. We can't talk about, police killing us. But we can talk about everything under the fucking moon except for what really matters in our. I like this guy. Let's see. This is about cisgender. Let's see what this is, and then we're gonna end off on this.
Given all these terms and concepts as terms that you ain't used back growing up. You see what I'm saying? So when you make the argument and say, hey, this language is made up, don't call me, that's an insult. Call me cisgender because that's a made up term. But you say that's cap. You say it's given all these terms and concepts as terms that you ain't used back growing up. You see what I'm saying? So when you make the argument and say, hey, this language is made up, don't call me, that's an insult. You feel me? To me, it's given that you don't understand how language is transcendental and that the way that we call ourselves African Americans in 2023 is not the way that we were called colored or Negroes in the 1960s. You see what I'm saying? We can acknowledge that language is always already changing and keeping up with the times. You feel me? The way that folks is pushing back on being cisgender, whether you are or a biological man or biological woman, that's wild. You feel what I'm saying? To me, education being attacked is a result of motherfuckers trying to say that gender is biological when literally debating with biologists talking about biology. You see what I'm saying? You don't know what I mean? I'm gonna bring a video in.
This is episode 9 of Exposing Lies. Hi, biologist. You said that flexing my credentials meant that I was probably wrong, and then you immediately go on to bolster your argument by flexing the credentials of the people you're citing. Pick a lane. Next point. If gender isn't biology, why should we listen to you? My friend, if somebody says something is basic biology, do you think that a biologist might know what is or isn't basic biology? Ridiculous. It's like asking your friend, hey, let's go to McDonald's and get some Whoppers, and your friend who works at McDonald's says, we don't make those, it's BK. And then you say, what do you know about Whoppers? You work at McDonald's. Then you quoted a book from a 7-year-old primatologist who illustrates that gender goes beyond biology and states in his intro that he's not touching on any human behavior that doesn't have an animal parallel. So that's convenient that if you just ignore the vastly more complex sociology of humans, that you can draw a stronger biological connection between gender and sex. Then you quoted John Money, a psychologist from the 1960s.
Pretty much you get the point, right? In conclusion, when we talk about distractions and all that, peep game, it's not the trans community that's passing legislation to attack women's reproductive freedom. You see what I'm saying? It's not the gay community either that's attacking black people in the streets, you feel me, and making them will be being highly incarcerated or facing these conviction rates. So when you think about distractions and who's targeting who, you see what I'm saying? I think the most masterful way that, you know what I'm saying, the cream supremacy work is to make people infight about what's going on amongst them, about birthing terms and things like that. Meanwhile, on the outside, they politically, socially, and economically knocking us upside the head. You know what I'm saying? Hey, education is elevation. And listen, I'm about to end the video. Let me end it like this, though. I can be very conscious of the way society has played black women and trying to always already negotiate your femininity and your womanhood. And I recognize that it seems similar, you feel me, when trans women say that, hey, they're women too, or talk about periods. You see what I mean? And listen, I'm not trying to invalidate nobody's feelings at all, but when you're wrong, and right is right and wrong is wrong. And listen, don't say that you down for right and knowledge and truth. And then when you face to face with truth, you still turn to a blind eye and say, I say what I want to say and I feel what I feel, and basic science is basic science. And it's like, that's not really how that works. You know what I mean? Education is elevation, research and research. I'll holler at y'all.
Well, they say if the shoe fits, wear it. And honestly, that was shit. I felt that one and I wear that shoe. So thank you, Brother Consciously, for that. I put the link up for people. If you would like to go follow Mr. Lee. So thank you for tuning in to the Urban Conservative. Until next time, meditate through the pain and celebrate the ties that bond and liberate our communities. Liberate our people and educate our youth so we can stop the bloodshed. Be the change. Win or fail, freedom or jail, heaven or hell, wish me well.
Every day, fighting for my life. Every day, fighting for my life. Fighting for my life. Fighting for my bread. Grew from the seed you thought was rock. I think not. Fire bred desires to rise above denial, to rise from former ashes to face new trial or triumph. I am enough. Trial to triumph. I am enough. Every day I fight for my life. Every day fighting for my life.